All right, welcome to season 2, episode 1 of the LIV DEX Show. I'm your host, Randy Livingston, native New Orleanian, head basketball coach at Isidore Newman High School, um, co-director of Live on Florida Lease, and I'm gonna let my main man, OG Dex, introduce himself. But we're so fortunate and blessed, and for all our viewers out there tonight, we're really excited about tonight, another opportunity to come and talk and be able to communicate with all of our followers, and appreciate it. One of the things too tonight, please subscribe to our YouTube page, the LIV DEX Show. We really appreciate it. But not under further ado, I'll let the OG himself introduce himself.
Hey Randy, what's going on, man? Another day in the neighborhood, Dexter, Washington. For those that don't know me, I'm the head. Well, something developed here over the last week, Randy. I'm not only the athletic director, I'm the head basketball coach, and I just got another title added to that as the head football coach. And we as well as being the consultant for the Nike Live On organization. So we got our place full down here on the western end of Louisiana, Lake Charles. So uh, tough times up ahead, man. But we're gonna keep grinding and doing the things that we know what to do and we know how to do. So we're excited. We took a week off. Season 1 ended in a bang. We're back to season 2, in which we're gonna have some new and exciting things happening after tonight's show. Uh, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to educating people from our perspective on and our knowledge on things now in basketball and life and just other general things that people may have a question about. So, Randy, welcome back, buddy.
Nah, definitely. We took a week off to just kind of revamp and get ready for season 2. Um, change some technology. I think the blessing of taking a week off is you get to kind of reevaluate where we are, um, and also setting the pilot and the program for season 2 is awesome. We're gonna have some great guests for you guys in the future. Um, we have a way now to put multiple people on the screen, 2, 3, 4 people, possibly 5, and we're super excited. Um, Today's topic tonight, is just the future of athletics with COVID-19. I think it's incredibly powerful. I'm sad, and I want to just before we get started, Dex. First of all, again, I want to thank God just for allowing us to be able to be together and share with people. But also, I lost a colleague tonight, a school teacher, and it's weighs heavy on my heart tonight. So it's definitely a blessing. Every day we can wake up in the morning, and then really every day we have a chance every Thursday to come together, see each other. I know you send some spiritual things every morning to the group, but it's just awesome to be able to be together, and it's a blessing. So with that said, we can open it up. Give me your thoughts. I know football comes first, and you have swimming, you have cross country, you have volleyball. Just in high school sport, pro sport. What's your thoughts on where we're going? But every day, we had this spike in Houston, spike in Florida, all around the United States without a vaccine right now. It's scary times, man. I can definitely confess that, and we just gotta have dialogue and make sure the parents are really educated and people are educated.
Randy, with something with a pandemic like this and so many lives being affected, man, so many unanswered questions, a lot of people running around living in fear, which they should be. I think with what just happened recently when we opened up into phase 2, how the cases begin to go up and go up at a rapid rate. And, we just thought we were getting over the hump after coming out of phase 2 after coming out of phase 1 and getting into phase 2, it was like it was some exciting times. And I think we may have rushed in some areas of our lifestyle. Uh, and I think it has hurt the athletic arena in which the pace we were going. So what has happened with all the different spiking cases, it has set athletics back. And you know, it's really, really scary because, you know, you got to remember we've gone from March until up until this point with no sports. And you know, everybody antsy about getting back. And I think being antsy about getting back probably has harmed us more than it's helped us. Uh, you know, I told someone today, it's like phase two in a lot of people's mind looked like it meant the coronavirus was gone. And it was kind of a setup because we began socializing at beaches and bars and casinos and different places that we hadn't done when we finally leveled it off. And then we went right back. And, you know, Randy, it only took one person to have it to spread it and for it to continue to grow and grow and grow. Here in Lake Charles alone, man, our cases have gone up sky high. And, you know, it's really, really scary for the life of athletics. And, you know, people need to be concerned. They really need to be concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I feel like with this, the target moves every day. I mean, I know at my school we were trying with some of the athletes and we got postponed. So I've learned to just go with the flow, be flexible, and really follow the guidelines. You know, that's really, really important. And just stay up to date. I try to get as much literature to read. There's a couple of doctors I look at on YouTube. I think Michael Hansen's one. I really, really, it's just trying to figure it out. You know, and that's every day. I think it's going to change every week until we get it.
You know, the craziest thing, Randy, about this whole scenario, we started the LHSAA extended in Louisiana. The LHSAA extended their summer rule to June 8th. So we couldn't start until June 8th. You know, we did the month of June. Everybody was gung-ho. Of course, we were in phase two. And you know what's crazy in our particular area, a lot of the youngsters are the ones that's being infected right now. You know, going out to the different bars and then going home and then being around this one or going to the beaches or going. And here we close all the beaches here now for July 4th. I think some more measures need to be taken. And I'm speaking in the realm of if we're going to get into football, which is the first sport up. Can you hear me, Randy? Randy? Okay. So, Randy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You kind of scared me there. But anyway, you know, football's up, volleyball's up. I'm going to give you a particular scenario that happened at my school. And, you know, being an athletic director, you know, I had to make a decision for our schools. And there was a couple of things going on in our area. And I got wind of it. And, you know, I immediately called all the coaches in and I decided that we would just cancel our workouts for 2 weeks. Well, in these 2 weeks that we have not been working out, the cases have gone up tremendously. And now we're going to visit, the coaching staff will visit Monday. And it's not that we're not going to try to continue doing some work. We're going to minimize even the group sizes even smaller. We were blessed and fortunate. We didn't get any cases at our school. We're doing a lot of things at our school to make it safe and healthy for the student body. And I think we're talking about athletics, but I think the first thing in order to have athletics, I think we need to get our students into a school. Because if you're not in school, you're not going to play any sports. And I think we're overlooking the fact that school comes before the sports. And if you're not able to go back to school, you're not going to be able to play sport. You may get virtual learning, you may get online learning, but that doesn't help you in the athletic arena. So all the working out you're doing, all the excitement that you have of being able to go back to practice is not worth anything if you're not going to be able to open the schools up. And that's one of the things that we're working very diligently over at my school, is to make sure we have all these things in place. And we're not a very big school, so we have a huge advantage here that we can actual social distance in the class. My principal told me the other day how many things masks she ordered, how many laptops she ordered. So we're preparing for either or. But being a private school, you've got to be a little more cautious and careful, because your funding is based on students attending your school. So it's real scary times for us.
Yes. Dex, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Randy.
Okay, good. Yeah, to me, the $1 million question is, I mean, I guess for me, football started doing some things. I'm saying from the NFL level, I'm not sure about the high school level, but without really banging in contact, a lot of cases started. So it was kind of perplexing to me, because once they put the pads on, they start banging. It'll kind of be different. But for like LSU to have 30 players, some of these other colleges that have 30 players test positive, that was kind of frightening. And I think it made everybody at the high school level, like football, professional basketball, those are high level, high money situations. So we understand, you had the Michigan president said, if the kids can't come back to college, we ain't playing sports in the big house. That's a big loss. 105,000 people every year, every home game, they lose that revenue. And I know money isn't everything, but at the end of the day, safety comes first. And so it's tough for me to really figure out where this is going. And I guess my $1 million question for you next is, we'll get into the basketball part and about the bubble and what we think of that. But is it even possible to play football? I heard Malcolm Jenkins basically say football is not an essential, job right now, so they shouldn't be playing. But at the end of the day, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think we have a football season? You think it's going to be condensed? You think we're going to give it another go? I'm nervous, to be honest with you, for all the football players and basketball players, all the athletes.
Well, the crazy thing about what you just said was sports is money driven. It's money driven, and we live in a country that's money driven. In the debate on opening up certain things, and if you listen to the debate, everything was about the economy. If you follow people on social media and they really speak their personal feelings, sometimes I wonder if they think other people doesn't read what they say. But anyway, they expose things, and it was all about, some people compared coronavirus to flu, so many different comparisons, and it wasn't that bad that we had to shut the state down. We had to do this, we had to do that. And we're living in a prime example right now of why those things needed to be done. And when we followed it, and everybody didn't follow it, it leveled off, which allowed us to advance. And I think leveling off and allowing things to advance, that I think some people's eyes begin to get bigger and bigger because of what they've lost. And the drive to get what you lost back, which is probably the money and the income, had people going a little haywire. When you think about bars, being open, Randy, you're talking about people that go out and have a great time, and whatever they're going to do, maybe have a drink or two. Once they get a different mindset, do you really think they're sitting in there thinking about some virus? They've already been locked in the house for 3 months. It's a good time. And we didn't handle it well as a country. And this is strictly my opinion. And I'm entitled to that. And I think it's consequently has hurt the athletic arena, which now is where the professional ranks and the money and the TV contract come from. So going back to your original question, football, the longer we in phase 2, there's no contact, the farther football becomes. So if we don't get into phase 2, 3, where you can have some contact till July 28th in the state of Louisiana, then guess what? You have to still add about 40 days so that you can get your kids prepared for scrimmages and games. So I'm not a rocket scientist and I'm not one of those guys to make the decision, but I know this for my school, in order to be prepared to play, you're going to need enough time to prepare to play, and you're going to need to put the bodies through the contact. And you and I talked about it the other day. Tennessee extended their season backwards. They came out right away and just said the football season will not begin on the normal time. And as sad as it breaks my heart to say that, until we get to phase 3, you can almost assure yourself that we're a couple of weeks back. We're behind right now.
Dexter, I guess also to me, okay, let's work our way backwards. We're at July 2nd now. And I know us at Newman, we're starting at the end of the month. Would you say in 2 weeks they need to be going? I mean, we're 14 days away. I'm saying in 2 weeks, in order to have a program that not only sustainable but looks like you've been together, you better start hitting or putting the pieces to the puzzle back pretty soon, right?
Well, and football is that big sport all over the country. I mean, high school, colleges, and professional. And, close your eyes and stop and think for a minute. What do you think we're going to be like if you don't get a football season started this year? If you don't get a football season started this year, you're going to have some mad people, and because you're going to have a lot of people losing a lot of money. And, how do we do it? Do we risk the players? And if we're doing that, what are we risking them for? Do we risk the lives of the older coaches that is above age? What are we risking it for? And man, you could go back to the old days, and my grandmother used to always tell me, money is the root of all evil. And that drive and that determination. And don't get me wrong, you got to have it to survive, but we're in a crisis right now, man. We are really in a crisis.
I'm gonna answer this, and this is what's scary about this. Let's say you're, I don't know, I say Team X in your high school season. It started. Your starting quarterback gets COVID. He's got quarantine for 14 days. Or your star player on the basketball team, season starts, and now he got to sit out 14 days. 14 days is an eternity in basketball. That's like 7, 8 games, possibly 6, 7 games. A football team, if the quarterback catches it, that's 2 weeks. You know your backup isn't as good as your starter. So it's scary to me just because the lack of, data. Like the question I ask myself every time, the Saints head coach came out a long time ago and said, I had COVID, I quarantined. What does that mean? What does that mean? I can't catch it from being around him. He can't catch it again. What does that mean? Because everybody say quarantine, 14-day quarantine, your player come back. What does that mean? Nobody can answer. And maybe, we need to get a doctor on here. Or if there's a doctor in the chat room, please let us know. Does that mean, nothing? Nothing can happen? Can he not contract it for a second time? Is another strain going to be worse? You might have antibodies in your system because you had it, but we all know the flu is seasonal. There's different strands of it all the time. So, and maybe I'm talking online, but like I said, if there's any doctors on the chat rooms, please, say something, and please ask questions on the chat line. We got a lot of repeat guys following us. It's amazing. Hobart Grayson's on there, Charles Ferguson, Tyrone Reed from Mississippi. We got Willie Joseph from Australia. Guys, if you got any questions, please chime in. But, we're just getting to that point, Dex, to me, is it's scary because the information can change tomorrow. like, I mean, I got an email from my school basically saying we can start phase 2, you know, which we ain't going to phase 2 when the city went in phase 2, but we can start on Monday. But the way I sleep, I wake up in the morning looking for an email saying, you know, update me, what's going on. And I think if we stick to the guidelines as best as possible and we follow it and everybody wear masks, I think it's going to alleviate some of the issues and it gives us a chance. But at this day, sitting here, Thursday, July 2nd, there's still a lot of questions, Dex. And like somebody, I mean, I think it was Dr. Fauci or somebody said, you know, we getting saved by summer right now. But what does that mean? Like, I mean, a vaccine, and I hope it doesn't show up, you know, a week before the election. That'll be something. But you never know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just hoping that, you know, a vaccine come out sooner than later, so we can begin to live again and breathe. You know, one thing that's come out of this more than anything else for me, Dex, is that uncertainty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we all live in uncertainty every day. We don't know. And to try to run a sports program, and you've been a coach for a long time, now you're doing double duty, which I feel for you, brother. You're the head football coach now, too, the AD and the head basketball coach. You gotta have some organization. You gotta have some time with your guys, and I don't see that coming anytime soon.
Well, you know, in our situation here, and being that I do have those titles, which empowers me to make a decision that everybody has to stand by.
Dex, just
And I'm going to.
Dex, somebody said it's like the measles. Once you get it, you can't get it again.
I hope they're right. I hope there's factual, scientific proof of that. You know, because now I'll tell you what is happening before I go on, Randy. A lot of people that have contracted it has basically been mild. You know, so many people test positive, stay home for 14 days, then go back, and it's not there anymore. Hopefully that's the case with once you get it, you can't get it back. But, you know, I'm not the governor of the state. I'm not the president of the United States. But I do have an opinion as a grown man after looking around and seeing all the different things that's happening, especially for our state, especially in the athletic arena. It's probably going to take a shutdown, a revert back to phase 1 for a couple of weeks. And if that levels it off, we may need to go backwards to go forward. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, Randy? We may need to go backwards to get forward. But the problem with going backward, if the governor make the call, they're gonna write every proposal in the world because it's not affecting the people, it's affecting the economy, and that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter how many lives we lost, it's still affecting the economy. You know, until it really affects you and your household, then the lives are gonna matter. You know, but these are the people we vote in. These are the people that make the decision. You know, and I think the governor was under pressure the last time to try to get us to phase 2. And you know, now you know, I listened to the last press conference, and you can almost see it at the tip of his tongue. We got to go back because now we go back. I think if we can get back into the phase 2 area, I think people would do it smarter. And I think it was some certain establishment that he wouldn't open this time around. I think he would keep them closed. I think we need to be under stay-at-home order for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and that at least I think that would maybe let the cases go down and at least give the athletic world an opportunity. You know, and there's no other way around it because you're not, if the cases keep going up, you're not getting to phase 2, phase 3. And if you don't get to phase 3, there's no contact in football. No contact in practice in football, there's no football. You know, I mean, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure that. The higher the cases, the less chance we get to phase 3, where they said we will be allowed to do certain things. You know, so, you know, you said something earlier, you know, hopefully the vaccine, I don't care when it comes, I hope it comes. You know, it could come before, after, doing, just we need to do something because our country is not prepared for what we're dealing with right now. You're talking about changing the normalcy of an entire country that is now living in a different way. And we're the United States of America, man. And, maybe other places, man, this not supposed to hit us this way, but it has. And regardless of who talked negative about who didn't handle it right in the beginning, all those things, you ain't nothing you can go back and change the way it was handled. All you can do is work on what we got going on today.
But Dex, there are more tests, so I think they got more people getting tests, but like, oh man, there's so many people walking around that may not have any symptoms and still may be infected. That's what's scary about this. It's different. I mean, things will never be the same. I'll give you an example. On this note, handshaking is irrelevant. I think we all, like, I know when I used to travel to Southeast Asia, I used to travel to that part of the world, you see people with masks on at the airplane all the time. I'd be like, man, what are they doing? But like, now we all in that world now. Like, things are kind of like, that's the norm. Like, to be honest with you, why do we ever have to shake hands again? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can elbows, we can do stuff. Even on the football field, usually you give high five, you give that. But really, we know that's transfer of viruses, germs, whatever. That it is what it is. So like, some things probably will never come back. I don't really know why. I mean, somebody made this statement too. To open up the bars was insane. That's worse than going to a football game or a basketball game with 70,000 people in. Because you got a bunch of people that are drinking, that are talking close to each other, and once you start drinking, all rules are off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in incoherence, and so it was crazy. But not to get off topic. The future of athletics, I think, will change right now. I think we just got to be at a place where we can be able to lower the risk, to me. And I don't know how they do it. Again, people, if you're in the space, if you're in the messenger, you can ask questions, you can talk. We love those. If you ask questions, we can try to handle those. I would like to move on to the bubble, which is what the NBA has proposed. And obviously they're going to start up now. I think it's the best way to sort of give it a go. Because usually, we follow what the pros do. Now, they got a lot of money, so it's a lot more on the table. I heard one of the players complain about the 113-page protocol that they have put in place. And, this is not a joking matter, but one of the players, I think it was DeMar DeRozan, basically said they can't have doubles ping pong. So he was freaking out about that. But at the end of the day, I think they're doing the best job to make sure not only you stay safe, but you can get back home after this over with and your family's safe, your elderly, you can see your grandmothers, you can see people that, important to you. And it will be very interesting how this bubble. You've asked guys, look, they get paid a lot of money to spend 2 months in an area. You can't go in and out. Your family not going to be in there. I know people are talking about the NBA guys have a lifestyle, and somebody pretty much joked and said the security guard is going to be the most important person on the whole bubble, because every time you put together,
I can imagine why too.
there you go. So their pockets might get fat. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be interesting. This could be like what we all need to say, let's go forward. We'll get to see what we normally see on TV, but also it could be a disaster. So like, everybody is like waiting to see. And usually the pros lead the way. I take my hat off for them for trying. I know, we're trying to get back to some normalcy, but the NBA, and I know Major League Baseball too, trying to start up, it's going to be very interesting. But like I said, I read a lot, I follow a lot. They've done it great in South Korea. They've had great leadership. They started testing before, like in December. So they figured it out faster. So then you see on ESPN, you watching the South Korean Baseball League, it's going. It's even, just to give people, our viewers, something, for the fans to be involved, they have an app to let the fans still cheer, and they play it in the stadium. How about that?
Yes, sir. So
So
Randy,
now,
look.
yep, we got our. Let's bring him in, man.
Who's that, man? That man.
We
It's
got
30 minutes late. I'm gonna
we got
ride
our.
him hard.
He's good. Better late than never, and we always, welcome him on the show. All right, let's welcome him in. What's
Who's
up?
that
What's
guy
up?
there?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
It
We're
look
doing
like you
great,
sitting
man.
down. It look like you sitting down where they got all them championships over there, Mr. Jones.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
there you go.
I had to come to my office, man.
That's okay. We appreciate that, man. You know, getting with it, huh?
Yeah, man. I had to come to my office.
Nah,
How y'all doing?
Jeff, we all
Yeah.
right, man. Good to see you, man. I need to see that smiley face over there. I know you down there doing some things in Baton Rouge. I hadn't seen you in a while. You know, I got to try to keep up with you, so I'm gonna have to call my people down there, see what's going on down there at Madison
Yeah,
Prep
check
over
on me,
there.
man.
Yeah, I got to
Check
check
on me.
on you, man. You know, see if everything all right with you, Jeff.
Everything is good.
Coach, you know, you're just getting on, and there's a lot of people watching. Why don't you go ahead on and introduce yourself and tell them who you are? I know they know the name, but put a description with the name.
Jeff Jones, head coach at Madison Preparatory Academy, director of Louisiana Elite Basketball Club. Just glad to be here.
Well,
hey, Dex, Jeff, we got a follower, he's a friend of mine in Australia. He says something they're doing in Australia is that the players sanitize as they walk in the stadium. Only 2 teams can be in the stadium at a time. They clean up the space after every game, pretty much what we're doing here. Before the next teams can enter the stadium, they clean it up, which is the same. But I didn't know they were back to playing, games. So, I mean, that gives me hope. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do it right, now where he's at in Hobart is a little different area. It's like a little island, so you can kind of keep people out. So once you get the cases down, they should stay down because nobody's getting into that island. But still, you got kids, you got grandparents. So I mean, that gives me a little bit of hope. Now we got a guy here. This is a question I asked Dexter a little bit about. We talked about Sean Payton a little bit from the Saints having it, and then people were like, "Oh, he had it. He went to 14-day quarantine." Well, what does that mean? That means he can't get it again. That means he can't give it to somebody else. Like, it usually just stops. People say you got it, and maybe you can fill us in on some of the knowledge that you've been told. But I just had somebody on the feed, Preston Edwards. He said his coworker has caught it twice. So that's scary. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the type of things.
Oh yeah.
It's
it's definitely scary. I know a high school coach, and Dexter, you know him as well, in this state. And he had it, and it took him a total of 50 days to get over it. He had to get 2 consecutive negative tests before he was over it. So, once you get it, you can get it again. Just from what I've seen and been told. Kind of like you said with the with how they're doing games over there in Australia, they're doing the same thing. I had a couple of young groups go out and play Mississippi this weekend. That's what they did. 2 teams allowed a facility at a time, just those parents or fans. Everybody exit a separate door, spray everything down, wipe everything down, and then the next team and their fans allowed it 15 minutes before game time. This thing is it's highly contagious, and it seems like it's gaining strength. We can go quarantine now. We can go back to phase 1 if they want to, but when we get out of that, what made it resurge, so to speak, is these large gatherings of people. And I think a lot of people are not taking the seriousity of the disease into account. And that's why you see this thing has picked back up tremendously as it has. The bars, Some of them, they totally violated, some of the protocols. These parties and whatnot, graduation parties and whatnot, have caused a big spike in cases. I'm hopeful, as you are, Randy, that, that we'll be able to play. But I just think this year playing is going to look different. I think we'll eventually be able to play, but I just think it's going to look a whole lot different.
Yeah, and you joining us like we were talking about. Maybe you can chime on this too. Let's say football. What do you think is the deadline for them to starting to get it together? And when I say get it together, is that 2 weeks? We start school at the end of the year. Is that 2 weeks? They need to be like practicing and like full go. What does that look like? And then there's a couple things to think about. And then what happens if your starting quarterback contracts COVID and he's out 2 weeks? That could like you said, it won't be the same, but that could really, really hamper stuff.
Man, I something that the LHSA kind of shot down. I think it's our only chance. Flip the seasons, man. They're already playing baseball. Go ahead and do baseball and track now. Push football to start in January. Basketball. We may start in March. And play maybe a slightly shortened season. Instead of 34 games, we only get 25 games, and then a postseason. I think we're going to have to be willing to compromise and also be creative if we want to have any kind of season. Because like you said, just like with the TBT tournament or this NBA deal, if somebody comes test positive for the disease, they got to quarantine 14 days. Well, if they were on a team and around other guys, like in the TBT tournament, their team is out. So, and that can happen. One of these NBA teams, somebody gets it, all those other guys at risk now. So you've got to quarantine them. So now that team's effectively out. I think it's tough to start playing sports anytime in the next 3 months.
And Jeff, you're saying that, and you're talking about a guy that I know loves to play the game, loves to compete, get a little antsy to get back. We've been out since March, and finally we were able to get back. But, the reality of it is what you're saying is 3 months, and that might be right where we are. And that's the reality. And you said about the compromise. This is something that's just in life. Change is so uncomfortable for people, but it's necessary. The most uncomfortable thing in our lives, in anybody's life, is to change something that you've been doing for a long time. And when someone suggests you do it, you put up walls or defenses because you don't know no other way, rather than taking a shot. And we're talking about in athletics now, we're really talking about either not having it or being able to change the way we do it in order for us to have athletics. The idea you said about switching it and doing it. If football play 5 games, at least they play a game. If basketball play 20 games, it's not about trying to reach the maximum number of games that we play in a normal situation. Is that we trying to get something out of it, and if it means we shorten every season, if no fans allowed, you have to have coverage and all the different things that can be done through technology just to give the kids. And now you got to keep in mind, you got a senior class right now that might not have a chance to play no sports.
Right.
Now you're talking about something new coming up. You take away a whole school year, or you may be able to do online school or go to school but not play sport. And you take away all these kids that are graduating seniors coming up, and you don't let them have any type of sports because of what's going on. You talking about chaos and anarchy. And why? Because we're not willing to look at making changes, because change is so uncomfortable.
I think that one thing that leaves me optimistic about basketball season, I think 7 and 20 have been the two numbers that have popped in my head with basketball and football. A 7-game season in football and a 20-game season in basketball. Basketball did show that they can play their championships you know, the effectively LHSA state championships were done, you know, with no fans. So we know that can be done. I just think we may have to shorten the football season, go about 7 games, 6 to 7 games. And basketball season, we have to play a 20-game season. You may have to take out, and the way I thought about playing 20 games, you take out all your tournaments. You know, and all three of us will hate that because we both get 3 really good tournaments, but take out all your tournaments. If you take out all your tournaments, you got about 20 games on your schedule. And, you know, I think that gives you a chance.
No, I totally agree with that. That would be, I don't know. Hopefully the LHSA is out there somewhere listening. Yeah, it's scary times, man. It's times where, you know, every day, every week, it's precious. I mean, you're saying go back to phase 1, Dex. If you go back to phase 1, and I know I'm just from a timing standpoint, and obviously it's going to be a little give and take with everything. But if you go back, 2 things. You go back to phase 1 and you lock everybody in. You saw what happened when they let everybody out. It was a lot of pent up energy, and it came in for a good reason. The riots were a good reason. Things that happened, the peaceful riot was a good thing. But at the end of the day, the economy to me is about to do a reset globally. I don't care what we say, right? So you got that factor, and you know whether it's safety or not, or whether they politics. That's what they live off. That's what they have to do. But if you do it again, then you break much sand. Then you're starting all over again because Jeff knows, and he talked about it with his team. If you're a football team, you're going all the way back. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna say now you got to get a base again. So that's gonna take another month. So you know it doesn't just happen overnight. We all know these they're kids. They need to get a base. They need to get their bodies back right. They need to get back in sync and tune, or people are gonna go out there and get hurt. That's the you know of trying to rush it. So we got to get it right. And you know I know time. If we just get any leadership, whether it's from the top of the top, whether it's from the president, whether it's from the governor, whether it's from the state people, whether it's from the local leadership, or you know whether it's from you know the body committee here, the LHSAA, they need to step out and lead. And I'm not saying they haven't been, that they've done a good job. I just think at some point there have to be a cutoff date here and let us know where we're going. Because man, you leaving people inside, suicide rate gonna start going up. Like it's a lot of things that go along with this. So like you gotta figure it out. That's just people love sports. It'll be interesting.
Hey, look,
Suicide rate.
the stock market was going. The stocks were going up and down. You know, people get to jumping out of buildings. I mean, you know, there go your suicide, man. This stuff is really, there's some really scary stuff. When you really like, we out here tonight, we're on a panel and we're talking about it, which means you have to be in tune to what we're talking about and you got to focus on it. You know, and a lot of times during the grind of the day, you got so much going on where you never really sit still enough. And tonight we're going to sit still, and anybody that's watching can sit still. And now we can talk about the realities of what is reality right now. You know, Jeff, you're the athletic director of your school. I'm the athletic director of our school at Hamilton. And Randy, you may not be the AD, but you're a very smart individual that probably do more reading than me and Jeff. You know, because you up doing things all hours of the night and sending messages out. You know, I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. I got a message from Randy telling me something about Dex. Look at this. It's, you know, I get up early, Jeff, but I mean that means Randy's up reading something about 3:30. You know, it's like, okay, check this out. So I wake up this morning. I got about 10 messages from Randy about the show, about what's going on over here, what's going on over there. So you know.
That's the only time I can get some work done.
Huh?
Right.
Yeah, you're right about that. You know, you got those young kids, so you got to stay up. So, you know, I can understand you being cranky from time to time. You know how many hours of sleep you get. But I will commend you on this, Randy. you do a lot of reading, and you do keep up with a lot of things, and you educate a lot of people, and you're very knowledgeable about it. And again, goes back to one of our first episodes. We could share information among each other, and we could accept it, and we could take it and run with it, and then share it with somebody else. And part of that is because of the trust, the loyalty, and the belief in one another. Everybody got strengths and everybody got weaknesses. And where I'm weak, I'm calling somebody. And people weak, they call me. I don't have all the answers, none of us do. But I can guarantee you one thing, other than COVID-19, I could call y'all for anything that goes on, and one of y'all gonna have the answer. And that's what relationships is all about, man. Hey, while we on the air, man, shout out to my boy Kenny Sykes, former coach at Woodlawn Shreveport. Kenny coming back home. I don't know if you got the news, Jeff, and I'm sure you
I
did.
talked to him today.
He's coming back home to Booker T. Washington, up in Shreveport. And, the first thing I told him, I've been holding that spot for you to have to play Jeff in the showdown in the lake with no fans. So, we got your first round opponent already, But congratulations, Kenny, man. Welcome back to the booth, bro. Under these circumstances.
No, that's great that Kenny's back. That's awesome. What I guess, to just me and Jeff gonna clown with you a little bit now, Dex. Just a little bit off topic. We talked about it a little bit earlier. What does it feel like, Dexter Washington, to be the AD with 3 hats, the basketball coach, and not a football coach? I really want to know that. You run a single wing E. What you run? You spread offense. You run an option. Give me something. And the thing is, you got to deal with this right off the bat. You thought you could wait till basketball season and deal with this COVID thing, but again, now, you're a football coach. You in it.
Look. Let me show you how easy this is. You played offense at John Curtis until you got the basketball. Jeff was the defensive coordinator. And I'm the head coach. Jeff will run the defense, you run the offense, and I'm gonna put a finger up, say we gonna go for 1, or we gonna go for 2, or we gonna punt the ball, and then that's how it's gonna work. It's just gonna be that easy.
Jeff, see if we can get paid virtually.
He got cash out. He has cash out.
Hey, look, boy, that would be the funniest thing, to see that. But no, seriously, guys, in our situation there, it's like I told the local media, Coach Sullivan did a good job here. He reestablished some things that have been missing for 3 years. Weight room ethics, competitiveness, practice routine. So he established all those things. Those things were missing prior 3 years. It wasn't that we didn't have good coaches. I don't know if they were able to communicate with the kids, and that's one of the things that he did real well with. And actually, I didn't have to really coach football last year. I just stood on the sideline as the athletic director. And so when he decided, and the guy took a job over at McNeese, so if you guys want, I tell anybody out there, Reggie Nelson was our head coach in football at Hamilton. He's now the offensive line coach at Grambling. He came to Hamilton to get the Grambling. Coach Sullivan came to Hamilton to get the McNeese. So if anybody trying to get to the next level and you haven't struggled, you need to come on down here to Lake Charles. We can get you to the next level, And I got Jeff, and I got a couple of calls about that. But anyway, on a serious note, man, it's not going to be that hard. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was really into things and I didn't really know completely how to manage. When I had my basketball team, I had to do a lot of hands-on until I felt comfortable enough with my staff, and then I could kind of sit back now. Well, the most important thing is to get some good coordinators, get some good coaches, and kind of sit back and just manage them and teach you from your experiences what you know about the game of football. People don't really know that. I got a call from my boy in Monroe. They didn't have no idea that I've been at Hamilton 11 years coaching football other than last year. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, 9-1, averaging about 45 points. Keenan Fontenot was my primary guy out there, Jeff, and he was my best basketball player. But Keenan was a dual sport athlete. He's starting safety at Grambling right now. Julian Markentell was one of my better basketball players, the left-handed Bryce Camp. He had went up getting a scholarship to play linebacker for Texas Southern. Brandon Blackwell, you remember Brandon and Justin.
Big defensive end.
That's right. Brandon ended up going to play at McNeese. So but those were great football players, but there was also some great basketball players. So we got that same makeup right now. And you just got to be, in my opinion, be smart and how you practice 25 football players, because that's all you're gonna have, and they're all basketball players, and how you take care of their bodies. So you
So
spread them out so injuries come.
he's not playing wide receiver. Is that what
Huh?
you're telling me?
What is that?
Malachi playing wide receiver. That's what he's telling us, Jeff.
Malachi will be in the red zone. If we get to the red zone from the 20-yard in, we're gonna bring Malachi out the stands with his uniform. He's not gonna be on the sideline. But if we get to the 20-yard line, he'll come out the bleachers and we'll throw the fade route. And y'all laughing, but Malachi gave me a picture of him playing football before when he was a little small. You saw the picture,
So if you coach football, anything like you coach basketball, that would be a hell of a sideline, Jeff.
Ain't nothing changed. Hey, look, ain't nothing changed. I walk up and down. I probably walk a few more miles because the football field longer, and somebody told me one game, they say, "Coach, you hard to keep up with." Hey, man, when I play, I play. I go all at it. I feel like I'm a part of the game. I don't know no other way. So,
all right, Dex, I add something to this to season 2. Ask questions. All right. First question. Okay.
Jeff.
Does the NFL play this year? Let's give you
Jeff.
Got a bunch of
Jeff.
I mean, a lot's going to determine on the NBA. I think if the NBA plays, that's going to be the test model for all professional sports. If the NBA plays, I think the NFL plays. Because it's just, they may limit on fans. But unlike us in high school, they have the television dollars. You can best believe that television ratings are going to shoot up through the roof. More people are going to watch it on TV than go see it for safety purposes. So those are the reasons I'm optimistic. College football, NFL football, and basketball, they all happen because they have the benefit of getting paid by television, whereas in our cases, people got to come through those doors. So I think they still play, Randy. I mean, I think it's, like I said, it'll look a little different. I think one thing they said in the Superdome, that lower level where the guy normally running, get a touchdown and jump up right there in the stands, I think that's covered all the way around at that low level right there to kind of give the players some kind of barrier from the fans. So you're going to see things like that being put in place. I think the exiting and entering of the buildings will be a little different so that you don't have the big, combustion of people. But I think you still play.
Okay. This one for you, then, Dex. It was hard for the college basketball and NCAA not to happen. I knew when that got shut down, this was a big-time series. Do you think we have a college football season this year?
I'm going to go back to what Jeff said. I know they're going to do everything they can to have one regardless. I think we have a shortened college football season. I don't think we're going to be prepared to start in August. And if we do, then we have people putting people's lives at stake. And they got to live with that. And I just think the season will be shortened. I don't think we're going to start any sports other than the NFL. And like Jeff said, the NBA is going to tell them a lot about the contact and can it be contracted through all that. They're going to test them every day, whatever. If they can keep the security guard by the stairway, keep everything under control by the stair, then they might have a chance right there. But if we could get through that with minimum infection, I think that would be the platform. That contact and playing sports is not a way to transmit the disease. And I think because of where the different phases that we're in and across the United States, because of the spike in cases, I think it's going to set them back. And I really believe that we'll have a shortened version of the college football season.
Okay, either one of y'all can answer this. There's another question I had on here. From an academic standpoint, Jeff, I know you guys did a little online. Dexter, did you guys do a little online? Is
We
that the
did.
way for the future, or for the short term over the next 4 or 5 months, you have a little bit of combination of online and classroom, and where you just bring it half in one day and one day another half, a half day for some of the students, half day for the next student, clean it out? Like, are they gonna? I know we talk about sports being in pods now. You know, is classroom gonna now be in pods? Are we gonna be a mixture of both, or is online classes the way of the future?
We're going to initially start off with classrooms and pods in terms of half come on a Monday, Wednesday, half come on a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday's virtual for everybody. Because ultimately they're trying to get those kids out of the house because those parents have to work. You know,
That's right.
not joking. Those parents have to work. You know, all the parents don't have the benefit of child care. They are the child care. Those kids aren't in school. And then that one thing that I don't care what this virus does, and it's sad to say this, but it's a fact. They're gonna think about the economy before they think about anything else, and whatever they can do to keep the economy somewhat with a pulse. So I don't see them just totally sending everybody back home. But I do think, Randy, that if they're gonna try this half and half A day B day situation, but if the cases do continue to spike, then you have no other alternative but to go 100% virtual. You know, you have to go 100% virtual, and that's another set of problems in itself. Dexter Washington may be able to learn from watching it teach on a computer. You know, Randy or myself may need to, you know, after class is over, you know, we might need to walk up to Miss So and so and say, "Look, I didn't really understand. If you can show me this again, or go see her on the lunch shift, or 10 minutes after school before practice. Can you explain this?" You know, so it's gonna be tough, man. You know, it's gonna be tough. But again, in these unprecedented times that we're going through, this situation we're going through, nothing's perfect. You know, nothing perfect. All we're gonna do is treat this all with a general anesthetic. Whatever plan we make, virtual, half and half, nothing's gonna be perfect.
Hey, Jay, Randy, I'll tell you what. And my principal, she hadn't texted me back yet, but she came up with a great idea. One of the first in our area. Uh, First of all, our school is not very big, so we're going to be able to try to get all our kids in social distance 6 feet apart, if that's what's required. We have the help people coming in, changing no water fountains. You have to get tested to come through the door. You know, we have but we don't have that many students. Advantage to us. Uh, she went out and bought webcams for each teacher. In the event, you got to remember, Jeff is a private school. There's no income coming in. There's no Coach Washington getting no salary. I don't care what they do. So she went out and bought the webcam. And so if that what it takes, the teachers will report to school. They'll teach classes without the students, but everybody will be online taking classes. And so she has some other things that she's put in place. And, and she's about to add a college style where we could teach online classes to anybody in the United States of America. She's bringing in
Okay.
those type of teachers. So we got some things that we're implementing. And you know, the one thing I know from the last conference, they want to send us back to school, no doubt about it. That was they're very adamant about us going back. People are going to have the opportunity or the option to go virtual, online, or whatever. But can you imagine, Jeff? I tell this to Dominique all the time. You know, my grandson. He's 9 months now. Do you know for the last 3 months, Dominique and his fiance have had to be with him every second of the day? That's not normal. And he's an active little cat. So other parents have had to be home. They can't go to work because you got kids you got to be home for. Do you think those people that are not trying to get to school? I really believe they really are trying to get to school.
Right.
Wear masks and all those different things. So sports was the topic, but I think, and all of us know, the most important thing we can do to get to sports is be able to have a school. And I think a lot of people missing the boat because they're putting the athletics before the school, because you could go practice 7-on-7 and look like the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. But if you can't go to school, it's just all for nothing, Jeff. You're just really working hard. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'll end on this note, and we're good with short. And we definitely missed all our viewers, and thanks for following us. Definitely go subscribe to us, our YouTube page. My friend in Australia, my good friend, they have Australian League football, which is called AFL, and they have a rugby league. He said they have been playing for a couple of weeks now in hubs. So there are creative ways that people are doing it. I think we're all smart people. We can figure this thing out. But eventually we got to start, take a couple steps back, go a couple steps forward, maybe take a step back, and then figure it out what's best for, all of the athletics in Louisiana at the high school level. At the pro level, their resources is a little bit, bigger than ours. But I think a lot of this, and this is what makes it tough and the uncertainty of it, really at the end of the day, it's trial and error. And it's tough because you're dealing with people's lives at home, grandparents, parents, people that have underlying conditions. And so it's really, really tough. We all got to be smart and be vigilant about how we mitigate, how we use best protocols and practices to get this going. I truly believe we're all smart enough. We have enough, our science, the doctors, and, listening to the people that are professional. We just got to follow it. I think when people follow it, like anything, and we all coaches, if the players, for the most part, do what we tell them to do, good results happen. That's when they try to go off on their own and start doing, what they see on TV or what they think is right, and then, it leads them into trouble. And it's the same way to me. I just feel that we definitely have to be, just vigilant about, following the rules. And I think if we do that, there is a chance. If we don't, we'll see the spikes like they have in Texas, like they have in Florida. Yeah. You don't know if that's from the beaches, you don't know if that's from the protesters, you don't know what that's from. But we can use our common sense and tell that, you're probably not supposed to be doing that. And wear a mask, do what people say. So I say this to say these are some interesting times coming up. I do feel like, people can say what they want. There is some, and they might not throw it out there, but there is some deadlines coming up, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, it is. And Dexter, you said your group, you got a small school, and there's some good and bad to that. I mean, 4 or 5, and God forbid, 4 or 5 people catch corona, you done. I mean, you only got 25. So how you play? You cancel. Yeah, you cancel the game. Yeah, that's exactly a tough deal.
Tell you what, with all this going, listen, I tell you what, with all this going on, I got a chance to be the winningest coach, 1-year coach in the history of Hamilton Christian. If we don't play a game, I'll be 100, Jeff. You know what I'm saying? I won't have any losses. You know what I'm saying? So my resume gonna look really good right there, But you're right, Randy. If anything happened with us in the football, we'll probably cancel the next couple of games. So, I mean, you've been hearing all these stay at home, social distance, wash your hands, do all that. And then you got 80% of them just overlooking everything that they're talking about. But what's going on right now is that we're pushing ourselves farther and farther away from having our first sporting event in the high school area. Where, we're pushing out, no matter what anybody say, you don't have to agree with Coach Washington at all. But if things doesn't get better and we doesn't handle things like following the rules that they're setting, then athletics for this high school season in the state of Louisiana is getting pushed farther and farther back. And if I had never said anything, keep watching and not watch the change. And Jeff, now, if he shut us down for 3 weeks, we might have a chance to play sport. If you just go back to phase 1 and just clean it up, and then we can operate from there, we might have a chance. But until then, I hate to say it, because I got some good things coming up in basketball with a young team. I got some new people. I got some new things. You know, it's a new year. I lost for a senior. You know, my
What kind
goal.
of new things you got?
Well, you know, Jeff, and a plane will be landing here shortly, and you know, I'll be at the airport, and you know, I always I
You
got
didn't
to.
talk to these people ahead of time, did you?
No, not at
Call
all. They
Eddie
just,
Bo9. Get Eddie Bo9 on the phone, man.
man, call him, man. All I know is look, hey, look, Jeff. All I know is one thing about Madison Prep. Jeff Jones, see that office he's sitting in? He don't have to go nowhere, but I bet his phone could ring. See Randy Livingston with his smiling over there? You have no idea. And you know, I've told people this for years. John Curtis don't have to leave out his living room. When you win 15 championships, and you got it going on, you think people not trying to get the job. He looking for somebody to say, open it over so we can go over there. You don't have to go look. But now, Jeff, on the serious side, I'm looking at a young team,
Right.
all juniors. And, you know, of course, Malachi and Mason, my go-to guys this year. And, you know, we got a lot to replace, but they're going to be tough. And who knows, God has always sent Hamilton Christian what it needed, not what it wanted. I promise you
Right.
that.
No,
Right.
appreciate it. To all our viewers, our followers, keep following us. To me, season 2 is good. I'll ask these guys, you know, on camera right now a little bit. I think this was a little bit easier setup.
Yeah, great setup, man. I just had some technical difficulties, man. I had to come all the way from my house to the school, man.
You sure you was
You know,
You're not on the clock.
but I didn't want to miss.
Nah, man.
Nah.
Nah, we always welcome, excited to have you. And I think tonight for parents and people, you know, it's a good topic. It's a tough one, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, Dexter, I thought you worded it. I mean, great. You know, we gotta put a halt to it before we can move forward. And you know, we got to see these numbers going down. So
I got a message from Brad Boyd. He said, y'all gonna have any other guests on the show? I said, of course. He said, well, I like to be one. I said, let me check with my agents in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and we'll see. He said he's gonna bring in a bunch of viewers and a bunch of questions. So, you know, I think if we bring him in as a guest one day, Rand, I just want to sit on one side of the camera, and I don't want to say a word. I really just want to be able to look and listen that day. You know what I'm saying? And in the future, I do think that bringing guests, we will be bringing other guests on. And we just, you know, like Randy said, you know, we want to make our brand a little bit different, a little bit more exciting. We want people to want to see the show, want people to get involved, want people to be a part of it, you know, because the way the rate we going now, the LIV DEX Show with Jeff, and it might be all we got to talk about with sports if we don't change a little bit, you know.
no, for sure. And now this is great. We'll have. I mean, I've polished it out. I got every episode covered. We're gonna have guests. I'm glad Brad is one. You know, he wants to be on. That's good. I mean, we're going. We want to get different audience, different areas. I'm excited. I'm always learning. Like you said, 4 in the morning. I'm just trying to figure out how to make this thing better. How we can put 5 to 10 people on here. I don't know who will get words in them, but we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna keep exploring. And I'm excited, really. You know, when we all get into sports and we can really talk about our teams, talk about opponents, talk about other stuff as we go along. I think it's just a great way to, you know, just share and continue to grow. So I'm excited, you know, to season 2, first episode. And like I said, when I first started off this show, and I don't know if Jeff was able to hear it, you know, at the end of the day, it's a blessing for us guys to come together. Anytime we can open our eyes in the morning, you know, somebody didn't open their eyes this morning. And, you know, I feel blessed to be able to share with people, share our knowledge, and just to be able to help and be a helping hand to people. So,
and Jeff, I don't know if you heard it. Randy had one of his colleagues that passed away. So we want to keep Jeff in the Newman community in our prayers. You know, just like what you just said. There's a lot of different things were said before you got here. One of them is, you know, being able to explore and make this thing bigger, and have other people come in and be able to bring other opinions, and that way we'll bring other areas in, and you know, so we can grow more, you know, grow more nationally, statewide, and everything else. I mean, I'm enjoying the company right here.
See what you
Oh,
started. My brother said now he's waiting for his invite. Somebody else said they're waiting for their invite. So nah, but
Well,
it's good, man. That means we're doing something well. And well, until next time, I think now we got this, you know, using StreamYard, you know, we were using some other technology on season 1. I feel like this one is a little bit smoother and easier for us to link up and allow us to have more guests.
Jeff hiding all them trophies back there, Randy. You look over his right shoulder. Come on, Jeff.
no, man,
Right,
just that's just a sign. Actually that picture you see, that team didn't win a trophy. That was my second team here, second year, and all those numbers on there, the jersey numbers of the kids. We had 8 kids on that team, and they made it to the top 28. They didn't win it; they lost in the semis by 2. But that was the first team that ever made it to the top 28, and then kind of started Massive Prep on the map. Next week, I'm gonna do like you know, John Curzon guys. I'm gonna have all my state championship trophies stacked behind me, and use this as an advertising recruiting piece. You know.
Eddie Bona.
All right. Well, guys, y'all have a good, happy 4th of July.
Likewise.
You with that yard burger on the grill, or that yard bird on the grill. Don't
Randy,
burn
I'll
up.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Opelousas on tomorrow. Yeah, right.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night. Jeff, enjoy your family, man. Happy 4th. And
likewise. All right, John. All right, Keith.
All right, guys. Happy 4th.
Yeah.
Randy, happy 4th. I'll see you in Opelousas on tomorrow. We have a big event going on down there with my brother. You know, we all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So maybe I'll take you out to eat. Social distance. You sit at one end of the table, and I'll sit at the other one, since I haven't seen you in such a long time.
Restaurant. Bye, man.
All right, man.
All right, boy.
Peace. All right.
Peace.